Hello, wonderful students. Today we are on chapter 10. Is it chapter 10 or 11? Oh my gosh, I just lost my brain. Yeah, chapter 10, lesson 7. We're on page 745 of our math book. And if you see this beautiful pie picture, you know you're on the right page. The title of our lesson is Multiplying Mixed Numbers. Multiplying mixed numbers. And so we're going to go for this. And remember, a mixed number is a whole number plus a fraction. A whole number plus a fraction. And that's why we've been reminding ourselves on how to convert mixed numbers, because we're going to be using that today. Example 1, a blueberry muffin recipe calls for 1/2 of a cup of blueberries. I like to circle that. A blueberry pie recipe calls for 3 1/2 times more. How many cups of blueberries are needed? So when we see times more, I want you to think about how you used to say multiplication is times more. So we have to do 1/2 times 3 1/2. And I'm going to skip the model because I told you that we didn't do the modeling. So we're just going to keep working through this not as a model. So I'm going to just use this space down at the bottom to show you how to do it because we're not going to be using the model. So 1/2 times 3 1/2. So remember when we do multiplication, we have to multiply across the numerator and multiply across the denominator, but we got this big whole number in the way. And so what we're going to do is we're going to convert this to an improper fraction. So we did this yesterday. Remember, we do 2, the denominator, times 3. 2 times 3 is 6, plus 1. 6 plus 1 is 7. And then we always just keep the same denominator. So 3 1/2 is really 7 halves. It's the same thing. So we do 1/2 times 7 halves. So I've converted my mixed number. I just multiply across the numerator, multiply across the denominator to get 7/4. And 7/4, according to this book, is telling you it wants you to turn it into a mixed number. I am fine with you keeping it in improper fraction form because that's how you're going to use it in middle school. If you did want to convert it, remember this is 7 divided by 4. So 7 divided by 4. How many times can 4 fit into 7? 1 time. 1 times 4 is 4. There's 3 left over, so it's 1 and 3, my remainder, fourths. The denominator always stays the same. So 1 3/4 or 7/4, and I do not care which one you do. Okay, let's go on to our next example. Here's our key concept. To multiply mixed numbers, write the mixed number as an improper fraction and then multiply. So here we've got 1 1/2. Example 2, 1 1/2 times 3 3/4. So we're going to convert both of these into improper fractions. So remember, we do the denominator times the whole number. 2 times 1 is 2, plus 1 is 3. And I rewrite the denominator. The denominator never changes. Then I do this one. 4 times 3 is 12. 12 plus 3, 13, 14, 15. 15, and then I rewrite my denominator. Now we multiply. 3 times 15 is 45. 2 times 4 is 8. And then it says to simplify and to show it as a mixed number again. Again, as long as it's simplified, meaning I can't divide anything out of the top and bottom, so my factors of 8 are 1, 2, 4, and 8. I can't divide 45 by 8. 45, let's see, 8. The closest one is 8 times 6 is 48. I can't divide 45 by 4, I don't think, no. I can't divide it by 2 because it's not even. So the greatest common factor is 1. That means it's simplified. But if you do want to turn it back into that mixed number, 45 divided by 8, 8 goes into 4 0 times, 8 goes into 45 5 times. I subtract 5 minus 0. There we go. We have a remainder of 5. So it's 5 5/8. 5 5/8. Or 45/8. I am fine with either one of those. You can write this in here if you want. Okay, let's do guided practice. Oh, let's look at this helpful hint first. I'm sorry. To write a mixed number as an improper fraction, this is the steps. Multiply the denominator by the whole number. That's what we did. Multiply, and then add the numerator. So 2 times 1 plus 1. And you always keep the original denominator. We'll get a little bit more practice, and we have been doing that, so hopefully you've that's not new to you. So here's the guided practice. 4 1/5 times 1/2. They changed 4 1/5 into 21/5. They did 5 times 4 is 20, plus 1 is 21/5. We multiply across the numerator. 21 times 1 is 21. 5 times 2 is 10. And then they did turn that into a mixed number. 10 fits into 21 2 times with 1 left over. So it's 2. Your remainder becomes your numerator, and you always keep the denominator. 21/10 or 2 1/10. That's your answer. Okay, you guys, let's do some independent practice. Multiply, write in simplest form. So we've got 1 1/3 times 2/3. So we have to convert this. So we multiply the denominator times the whole number. 3 times 1 is 1, plus 1 is 4. Or 3 times 1 is 3, plus 1 is 4. And I keep the denominator. This one's already not a mixed number, so I just write it. Now I'm multiplying fractions, so I multiply across the numerator. 4 times 2 is 8. I multiply across the denominator. 3 times 3 is 9. 8/9. I know this is simplified because the numbers are 1 away from each other, so 8/9 is my final answer there. 2 fifths times 3, number 3, 2 fifths times 2 3/4. 2 fifths, I'm just going to rewrite. This one I'm going to convert back into an improper fraction. 4 times 2 is 8, plus 3, 9, 10, 11. 11/4. Keep the denominator, 11/4. Multiply across the numerator. 2 times 11 is 22. Multiply across the denominator. 5 times 4 is 20. Now, I don't mind if you keep it in an improper fraction, but you do have to simplify. So I can divide a 2 out of both the top and the bottom. 22 divided by 2 is 11, and 20 divided by 2 is 10. 11/10. Or if you want to convert it, if you divide it out, you're going to get 1 1/10. Either one of those is fine. 11/10 or 1 1/10. And for this one, you can, remember, you can always divide it like this, 11 divided by, because that's what this means, divided by. Fraction means divided by. 10 fits in there one time with 1 left over. But you can also think about subtracting out a whole number, right? And that's 10 over 10. 11/10 minus 10/10 is 1/10, so it's 1 1/10. Okay, we're obviously going to skip number 4 because Mrs. Bodell took up all the space there, so go ahead and cross number 4 off. And then number 5 has 2 mixed numbers, so we have to convert both of them. So I multiply. 2 times 2 is 4, plus 1 is 5. Rewrite your denominator. Now we do the second one. 5 times 4, 5 times 4, we're going this way, is 20, plus 1 is 21, and I rewrite the denominator. Now, this one you can multiply out, multiply across the numerator, multiply across the denominator. You're going to have to, we'll go ahead and cross off number 6 so you have some space. You're going to have to do 21 times 5 is 105, and then 5 times 2 is 10. We know that, but I can divide out at least a 5. So watch, you guys. I just multiplied by 5, 21 times 5, and now I have to divide by 5. So I'm giving myself the same work all to get down to 21 over 2. And that's because I can cross these out. Remember, we've got a 5 on the top and the bottom. I can cross both of them out, and this one becomes a 1, and this one becomes a 1. We can divide by 5 on the top and bottom. Now we have 1 times 21 is 21. 2 times 1 is 2. Either way you want to do it. This method, you're going to have to multiply by 5 and then divide by 5. And then this way we just cross them out because one's on the top and one's on the bottom. We can cross them out. 5 over 5 is 1. 21 halves is the answer if you want to convert it. That's 21 divided by 2. 2 fits in there. 10 times with 1 left over. 21 halves is 10 and a half. Both of those are correct. Okay, let's go to number 7. Let's go to number 7. We have to convert these mixed numbers into improper fractions. That's why we've been working with this for so long. 5 times 4 is 20, plus 2 is 22, and I keep the denominator. 4 times 1 is 4, plus 3 is 7, and I keep the denominator. Now there's no matching numbers here like we had with the 5 to factor before, to simplify before we multiply. So you can simplify this 4 and 22 by taking out a 2 at this point, but I'm going to just do the original method of multiplying. So you can see 22 times 7, and you're going to have to do that on the side, is 154, and 5 times 4 is 20. Now they're both even, so I know I can take out a 2. So I'm literally going to have to divide the top and the bottom by 2. The bottom I know, 20 divided by 2 is 10. But that top number, 154 divided by 2, I don't know it. Ooh, it's 77. 77 tenths. So 77 tenths is fine. If you want to convert it, how many times does 10 fit into 77? 7 times with 7 left over. So your answer is 77 tenths or 7 7/10. Okay, I want you to try to complete numbers 8, 9, and 10 on your own. 8, 9, and 10 on your own. Pause the video here, try to do those on your own, see what you can do. If you get stuck, come back and check with me, but I really, really, really want you to try to do those on your own. So make sure you pause here and then come back and check your work. Okay, we have to convert on number 8 these mixed numbers into improper fractions. So 5 times 2 is 10, plus 4 is 14 fifths. Times, now we do our second one, 6 times 8 is 48, plus 1 is 49. Keep the denominator. You would have had to multiply this out, 14 times 49, and then 5 times 8. So 14 times 49, Mrs. Bodell needed to do this before, 36, 9, 10, 11, 12. Bring down my 0, cross off that number, remember, that's how we do this multi-digit multiplication. 4 times 4 is 16. 4 times 1 is 4, plus 1 is 5. 686, whew, that's a big number. And 5 times 8 we know is 40. Those are both even numbers, so I know I can divide out at least a 2. At least a 2, so you can't leave it like that. I'm going to divide the top by 2 and the bottom by 2. 40 divided by 2 I know is 20. 686 divided by 2 is 343 twentieths. That's the answer you should have got, 343 twentieths. Whew, that is a big number. If you turned it into a mixed number, just so you can check your work, if you wanted to do that, you would have divided, remember that's 343 divided by 20. So 343 divided by 20. 20, 40, 60, 80, 100, 120, 147 times. You would have got 17 3/20. That would have been your mixed number. Okay, we're running out of room here. I probably didn't give you a lot of room either. So we're going to do number 9. 6 times 1 is 6 plus 5. 6 plus 5 is 11 over 6. 4 times 3 is 12, plus 1 is 13 over 3. Now, I can't simplify these because we're not on the top and the bottom. It has to go top to bottom to simplify. So we have to just multiply it out. 11 times 13, you would have finished that, crossed it off, made a 0, 1, and 1. 143 over 18. And that's actually the final answer. Last one, you guys. Check your work here. 5 times 2 is 10, plus 3 is 13. Keep your denominator of 5. 3 times 8 is 24, plus 7. 24 plus 7 is 31. Keep your denominator. There again is nothing I can cross simplify, so we're going to have to multiply. 31 times 13. 3 times 1 is 3. Do my ones first. Cross it off. Immediately write a 0. You would have got 403 over 40. And they're not even, so I know I can that I can't divide out a 2. The rules, if you remember, for if you can divide a 3 out, is you have to count up the digits. So 4 plus 0 plus 3 is 7. Can you divide 7 by 3? No. So we can't do 3. The rules for 4 is it has to be even, and the last two numbers have to be divisible by 4, so no. 5 has to end in 5 or 0. That one ends in 0, but not this one. 6, you have to count up the digits, and it has to be divisible by both 2 and 3. Nope. 7, I forget the rule, but this one's definitely not divisible by 7. 8 has to be even. 9, again, this... Let's see, 40 is not divisible by 9. So you could do 10, has to end in 0, no. Think of your factors of 40. So we've got 1 and 40, 2 and 20. We've checked 2. That's definitely not divisible by 20 because it doesn't end in a 0. And not divisible by 40 because it doesn't end in a 0. And then we've got no 3, 4 times 10. It's not divisible by either of those. And then let's see, 8 times 5, that's our last one. And it's not divisible by 5, and it's not divisible by 8. So that's your final answer. If you did convert it, and you want me to help you check your work, 40 goes into 40 one time. Bring down, 40 cannot go into 3, so it's 10 and 3/40. Oops, 10 and 3/40. And when we do convert them, you guys, into mixed numbers, it does help us see if it's simplified. We can tell 3/40 a lot easier than 403/40. But that is all for today, my friends. We're going to be practicing this more, so do not stress. I hope you were understanding this a little. Let me know if you have any questions.